first thing that they're reminding me right now is that not healing, I'm activating.
Yeah.
And they're saying that continuing to focus on the activation versus the healing will keep me in my power. When you go into the space of healing, it's really easy to get attached to the vibration of the inner child. But when you look at it as an activation, focusing on who you're becoming and what you're wanting and who you're wanting to be, as you realize your relationship to some of the deeper programs, it's going to really ignite her to stay in this space.
So how do you put that in with, let's say, with what's been active in the last few days with shutting down body memories in that moment when she's or even me, experiencing an emotional uprising or resistance or fear that's triggering, the body remembers what it remembers not feeling safe as a child. So in that moment of that...
Well, and this is where you have to go in and reprogram that feeling vulnerable doesn't mean that you are unsafe. Because what you're experiencing in those moments is the ego's reaction to feeling vulnerable and then also beginning to feel unsafe. And so the way that you find yourself energetically reacting to that, whether it's through feeling abandonment or fear or anger, rejection, whatever it is, that feeling is just your ego's way of expressing that energy.
Oh.
So when you can look at it as an activation, so we're going to give an example. This is something that Crystal is still grounding, so even as we're giving her information, she's having a hard time putting it into the correct position in her consciousness because it's actually a theme that she is disassociating from and activating her truth. But we're going to give the example of her feeling the energy of abandonment lately. In order for her to activate herself, she needs to recognize that this is just a fear. It's a fear of a memory, a fear of the past reoccurring. She hasn't opened her heart up in a very long time. We would really say since she was a child, she hasn't been her full self. And so as you open up your heart, you're going to look at the habits that you have created to protect yourself from the time you were a child. And you're going to see how it now lines up with your truth and what you're wanting, especially within this divine union. Crystal looks at her abandonment and recognizes that it's a fear. It's her own fear of being hurt. The title of abandonment doesn't even do any of this justice because that places a lot of the blame on somebody else. And she recognizes in the perspective that she holds now that it's her own energy and always has been, that has been asking for this experience so that she could come into herself. When you look at your fear and you say, I want clarity, I want stability, and you trust in your inner energy enough that you know when you focus in this direction, everything will shift. It's a practice that you've been practicing throughout the years, but when it comes to the deep-rooted programs, sometimes those frequencies go unnoticed. So when they come to the surface, it is not for you to relive your pain. It's not for you to figure out. It's for you to choose. Because that's the thing. You're not that child. You're not that person that was put in that situation that felt out of control. You're you now.
I like that when you said the emotion is a way of the ego interpreting information. And when I take that, and then I'm remembering last week when a fear came up and I stopped and looked at the fear and was like, that's bullshit. And then I put my new truth into it. But there are those moments, I think fear is really in reality just a lack of information, a lack of guidance. So that's very powerful what you just said, to when you're in fear, any negative emotion boils down to fear, you stop and ask for clarity, because that's what we're really wanting. Mm-hmm. And the clarity is maybe a new truth we don't yet recognize. But
maybe the clarity is just allowing yourself to be in that space and trusting that the energy is coming to you.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to just be in the recognition that this is the way that you've been behaving and you no longer are choosing that. And this is another thing that we are grounding in Crystal, is that it's okay to just recognize something within yourself and want to be different.
I'm kind of like when I did I really hate doing cardio, and I said, I just want to do cardio. And it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we walk every morning.
Yeah.
So I want to expand into not newer, but expand into...
Crystal wants to open up her heart. She doesn't know how. She has to be okay with that.
You say that, but I would beg to differ that she's the biggest lover on the planet.
Yeah. And isn't it wonderful to know that there's so much more in there?
Wow.
There's so much more in there. She has to keep creating safety for herself. She has to keep reminding herself that the things She has to keep reminding herself that the things that she needs and wants are valid too.
I think safety is at the core of what a lot of people are feeling right now, especially with the Roni virus.
Yeah, and the financial system and all of that shift that they can feel happening. It's like a rumble, underneath them, and they don't quite know whether that is a good rumble or a oh shit rumble.
Right. And then there's that safety ties into people don't feel free right now because they're locked in their homes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff being activated at the same time.
And so when these things show their face, activate what you want. Remember that you have a choice. Remember that your wants and needs are valid, and that the universe is here to support you. When people want to know why they are not receiving the manifestations in the ways that they want, we want to give the answer of because you are not open to receiving. It is time to open up your heart. It is time to recognize that all of the things that you want have been right here all along.
I think that's a challenge that's right here all along, energetically.
And physically.
Yeah. We just don't see it. But
we choose the program.
Okay.
But the energy is shifting on the planet. So you have to just go with the shift. You cannot push yourself ahead of the energy. When we tell you that you're at the leading edge, please believe us. You want to push and move it so much quicker so that we can just get to the place of joy, freedom, sovereignty, and ease. And we want you to be proud of this journey. We want you to let it be important. The feeling Crystal gets in her hearts when she sees the devotion that people have towards their religion. She is really allowing that to inspire her to open herself, even in the places that it's difficult. Because just like these people trust so deeply that they are supported, that's a choice. And Crystal's recognizing that she needs to show up in this space and choose to feel fully supported by her inner being at all times. This is the connection that brings in the fifth dimensional manifestations. And this is why when she said to us that she needed something to shift, we said we are ready when you are. And she changed. And now we're all different. And this is the way that it happens because we are all one. So don't downplay the power of your internal shifting when it comes to shifting the relationships and experiences around you. That's very important for both of you to understand. You carry a lot of power in your own transformation.
So really just be more accountable in how do I want to see this now? How do I want to view this now? How do I want to move myself into this consciousness? How do I want to expand into more connection? What does that look like?
Yes. Your awareness is your power. And the more you open up your awareness to the subtle frequencies of your own energetic field, the more you open up to the subtle frequencies of the universe. It's a fine-tuning with your heart. You have to get your tools correct. You wouldn't go to a performance with a guitar that was out of tune. And that is all. We're activating, we're tuning ourselves all to the same frequency. The frequency of the fifth dimension. And Crystal has been asking us in regards to this relationship, how do we create what we started? How do we move the walls?
By seeing that they exist in the first place?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we brought to her attention that the energy within the twin flame union right now is a deep reconciliation where in order to move forward, each individual divine presence will have to dissolve the ego to heal and activate the places within that are no longer serving you so that you can move forward. Because the walls are just old habits. They're old relationship habits. They're triggers that have been practiced. And so we are asking her, and now you, to step aside from the emotion and look at what's there so that we can move forward in this connection. Crystal was well aware that she would not be able to move forward with her own growth if she did not figure out how to open up her heart again at all in this sort of setting, but again in a general sense too. Because for the type of connections that she's wanting, she has to let go of the past. Completely. And these aren't frequencies within either of you that are in the forefront of your mind, that reside in your day-to-day consciousness. These are habitual frequencies. These are patterns of protection, patterns of habit, patterns of behavior, patterns of experience. And all we have to do is set them aside. It's a muscle memory. It's a reaction. But it's deep-rooted because these are the cores, these are the roots of the energies that hold us back. So to release everything, like you've been asking, and really move forward, look at the things that we are presenting. And recognize that every time something is going on that leaves an energetic disturbance within your energetic field, It is bringing attention to something within that needs to be forgiven, loved, and accepted so that you can activate who you are now.
So the magic reset button is who am I now? Who am I now? That's all.
And just like you were saying on the porch, being in the now moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So how why is Crystal's knee hurting?
She knows she's releasing that energy.
Yeah.
That was a very big shift yesterday for her.
Yeah.
That's a very big shift. And even now, she's releasing a lot of energy. Even being in communication with us about the things that are making her uncomfortable. Her entire body has been clenched up until about 3 seconds ago when we made it aware to her that she has to let that go too. Her body goes into fear when she tries to communicate the way she really feels.
What is she afraid that'll happen if she communicates the way she feels?
Rejection. Disapproval.
Yeah.
Anger. Danger.
So what's next that's fun we can do? What was that dream that I had when I was looking in the mirror and I saw a face that looked like Oxel, but with hair and a lot cuter?
You were in a dimension experiencing your future self, and your consciousness chose a memory of looking at your own reflection on the ship, and so your mind filtered it in a way that would make sense to you when you woke up. But that is you, and you can consider yourself Clomidil. And that's why you and Oxel find yourself looking very similar, because you are brothers. Well, we say brothers, but it's more a balanced energy. That Crystal, it's more masculine than she's used to herself feeling. I wouldn't say brothers. I would say completely gender neutral. But when she feels that energy, it feels masculine to her. Mainly because there's a lot of power that I think she's not used to. There's a lot of inner power within Oxel and Clomidil, and she does not relate to that just yet within her humanness.
So
you guys were doing a lot of grid work that night. Crystal never remembers any of that. So in that particular experience, you guys were laying a lot of grid work around China for the new Earth. You were also deactivating a lot of, pardon me, she's releasing some energy. You were deactivating a lot of the energetic towers in some of the areas around the more populated regions. You two are doing some mission work where you are kind of deactivating and rewiring some human electronics so that they are not even able to be harmful to the population.
Like 5G networks? Towers?
Yeah, they're kind of like that. I mean, China wants you to believe they're 5G, but they're a lot worse. They're like weaponized lasers that are placed in the ground that can cause earthquakes, they can cause storms, they can cause heart attacks. It's way different than 5G. It's more powerful. It's more of a galactic energy. It's a technology that the humans on Earth aren't aware of quite yet, but they would assume it's 5G. So yes, but no.
Interesting. So where are we heading next with where we are right now? Where does, is it going to be more of the same for a while longer? Or are things going to really start opening up? Are we getting close to Nasara, Jasara? Or is it just going to take some more time to wrap up all this stuff that's kind of going on behind the scenes that the public's not aware of. And where are we in the mix
They
of
won't
that?
talk to me about that. They're saying we won't talk to you about that.
Fine.
Like they're like really like we're not going to talk about that.
Okay. Then
They're making me very aware that they will not focus on 4D.
oh, gotcha.
They will not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They absolutely will not.
Yeah, I get
It's
it.
like they're literally saying to me, like, do you want to talk about expanding or not?
Yeah, let's talk about expanding. I like talking about what we're doing at night when we're transmitting those things. So moving forward then to 5D, what does it look like for our human selves?
There's a deep trust brewing between you and Crystal right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like you to find a way to honor that as much as you can. This connection is strengthening and becoming what you both wanted it to be in the beginning, but you have to activate the parts of you that you are wanting. It's okay to learn from the past what you want. But don't let it affect your emotion. Don't let it talk you into being fearful. Yeah, just keep reminding yourself that we're moving into new territory. And also remind yourself that it's okay if some days you're not on the same track. It's okay. But we would focus on building your connection more frequently, building your trust, building your communication, building your love.
Deciding to trust.
Yeah, it is. It's a choosing. It's a choosing. But it's not that the choice wasn't being chosen before. It's that before it wasn't, especially for Crystal, I can say in the forefront of her awareness, she had no idea how closed down she was. Mm-hmm. This has been quite the revelation for her. To see how much she holds back, whether it's because she's trying to be the bigger person or because she doesn't want to ruffle feathers. She jeopardizes her own inner energy quite a bit. She causes a lot of inner resistance when she does this. And she wouldn't even have inner resistance if she would just get more comfortable speaking her truth.
No.
And she's really good at speaking her truth when it comes to certain things, but when it comes to how she is truly feeling or processing, it's always guarded. It's always protected. It's always worded perfectly so that it's not taken out of context or taken the wrong way. And then if it ever is, it's abuse. It's the pattern of her father.
Yeah.
It's the relationship of her father, her inner child in this portion of her ego. And she's learning that she just really never needed to carry that. And she's really ready to feel that love.
Well, we're both in a safe environment to be exactly where we're at.
Right.
Crystal's not going to punch me in the nose if I have an emotional meltdown, and I'm not
Right.
going to do the same.
Right.
I mean, this is a safe environment for that.
Right. And so from here we create.
Right.
And what the human will experience from this is everything that you've ever wanted. that you really never believed would happen. But it's right here, right now. And so we just want every single day to let the light in a little more. Release the fear. Expand. Allow yourself to practice safety and vulnerability at the same time. Recognizing the body memory is how you release it. Being conscious in the moment that the body is clenching, allowing yourself and your body to recognize your new activation, breathing through the clench.
So the clench is literally a new expression of who I am coming in.
And the resistance of the past through the fear.
Through the filters. Okay. That's a good tool to have.
The fear of being hurt.
Yeah.
The fear of being crossed with boundaries, not being heard, not being honored. You know in your heart yourself to be a sacred being, and when somebody else crosses that line, that hurts your soul. And so, as you're saying, being in a new environment and revisiting that is really going to shift everything. We cannot stress enough how tied in your abundance is to the relationship walls we were speaking of right now.
Interesting.
Because it ties into your self-worth for both of you. So together, talk about things when they come up. Feelings, insecurities, vulnerabilities, joys, happinesses, excursions, experiments, all of it. Talk about all of it. Nothing is off limits and nobody's going to get hurt here. Yeah, it's good. It's good to ground this.
Yeah, that's good. I got it. That helps a lot because when the body is such an indicator of what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
It makes it easy.
And the more you pay attention to this, the more the sensitivities of the external energies that you're wanting to connect with in new ways will come forward. It's all tied together. It's this higher vibrational manifestation, and it's all centered within the heart. And because your hearts are connected, you really have to dive into this space.
I get it. So when typically when negative emotion comes up, we kind of fire at whatever's in front of us that we feel is causing them. It's not true. Our true empowerment is in recognizing this is energy coming through to support and validate me.
Yeah.
And it'll subside the resistance and then recognizing that and then choosing the new experience.
Yes.
It's kind of flip-flop.
Instead of being in fear or reserve, dive in. You're new. This is what you want.